Marine mammals face a lot of danger in the ocean every day, some from nature itself and some man-made. Many of those that get injured or stranded end up here at the Marine Mammal Center. Let's go inside and learn more about what they do. The Marine Mammal Center near San Francisco is always a busy place, but this year it's been crazy. At first, no one knew why.
Starting in January, we started seeing an increased number of these little sea lions washing up on our beaches, and it was a little bit of a mystery.
Dr. Sean Johnson is the head veterinarian, and they have seen over 1,300 new patients this year, more than double the number they usually see.
This year's been kind of a record-setter year, so we've seen a lot of really young California sea lions, around 6 to 10 months old, and they were washing up on the beaches just starving to death. They had been separated from their moms early and were coming in sometimes half the weight that they should be.
Adam Ratner, who oversees all the educational programs, says the mothers weren't dying off, they were surviving.
The sea lion moms were having to dive deeper and go farther and spend less time with their newborn pups.
So the big question is, why were these female California sea lions, these moms that desperately care about their pups, why were they abandoning their pups?
And the answer turned out not to be a toxin or a disease. The problem was the water temperature had risen just a few degrees, which had a dramatic effect on their normal habitat.
So this warm water caused the fish to distribute differently, to go farther north and swim up to Oregon and Washington, to go farther out to sea or deeper in the water, because the fish require a really narrow thermal zone where they can thrive.
And those pups just weren't getting the nutrients they needed. Once the pups were on their own, they couldn't dive deeper. They couldn't go farther.
So the pups showed up on beaches along the California coast and flooded the Marine Mammal Center. I understand one of the animals needs to be fed with a tube. How does that work?
Well, we offered him some herring, which is what we feed all of our sea lions. And if they don't eat, and if they're a decent size, we're going to tube him.
The young sea lion getting breakfast through a tube is named Stanley.
Wow, that's a good sound.
Sure is.
And it takes several people to give Stanley his meal. Stanley is like the hundreds of others who wash ashore, starving. The neon yellow goop he's getting is filled with vitamins and electrolytes and mashed up herring. After his feeding, Stanley is looking a bit dazed, but his tummy is full of healthy nutrients. When he's healthier, Stanley will eat like the other patients here at the Marine Mammal Center. So what's on the menu today? What are you making?
Well, we've got herring. Lots and lots of herring.
And the reason herring always fills the silver buckets is because it's high in fat. And these animals will be leaving here fat.
And then we want to put enough weight on them so when we release them, they have enough reserve energy to figure out where they're supposed to go and where the fish are and where the other sea lions are.
Fish milkshake.
And the key ingredient in these shakes, that's right, herring. But like in a human hospital, patients get different meals. Here, each serving is prepared according to orders which look like doctors' prescriptions.
So I'm going to stuff 3 fish for this pen.
Assistant Supervisor Kathy Blackwell cuts tiny pouches in the fish where she hides vitamins.
Over the last 40 years, we've been instrumental in developing these protocols that are used now around the world to take care of the animals.
Each animal is evaluated when it comes in to the Marine Mammal Center. Sea lions are the most common patients, and some, like Mango here, require surgical procedures. The goal is to make each animal's time here at the center as short as possible.
These are wild animals that we're rescuing here, and our ultimate goal is to get them healthy and release them back out into the ocean environment so they can contribute to the ecosystem.
When they're healthy and ready to be released, they get a free ride out to the Farallon Islands. The Farallon Islands have a good food supply, and they're a protected marine sanctuary. Everything they do to care for animals at the Marine Mammal Center helps to treat patients in the future.
The secondary mission is to learn as much as we can while they're here. So we collect samples, we try to better understand what diseases are affecting them.
And the reasons animals end up here can be very different. Way too often, humans are to blame when an animal ends up on this table.
You can see things like nets that an elephant seal had gotten caught in, balloons that either can wrap around animals' flippers or around their necks.
The public needs to understand that everything we do is having negative impacts on our environment, by pollution, ocean trash, all the pesticides and chemical runoff that's going into the oceans.
Cutting down on our use of plastics or buying sustainable seafood. All of those actions help make sure there's a healthy ocean for us and marine mammals out there.
And what about those higher temperatures in the ocean water? Could it be a natural cycle? Or is it global warming?
There's also potential for something like climate change, where we know as we burn fossil fuels, it releases carbon dioxide into the air, creates basically this heat-trapping blanket, and that can warm the air, the land, and the sea.
So along with caring for stranded and injured marine mammals, the center has also embraced public education.
The more that we as people understand that all our actions are directly impacting the oceans, which are impacting the marine mammals, and eventually everything that's happening to the oceans are going to come back to us and haunt us in the future.